Welcome back to the booth, everybody, here at AGE Open for April. Round 5 is upon us. We have 6 rounds before we cut the top 8, so now we're getting to the pointy end of things. Speaking of the pointy end, we just, of course, saw Arya Hauer take Colin Eriksson on Kasai to task there. A great matchup showcasing a very aggressive Dawnblade build, and I love that we're seeing a bit of goat Dory in USA conversation. But y'all sleeping on my boy Shin Inoue. That's right. My boy Nixie out there, he deserves a bit of credit as well. That guy is absolutely cracked. The Warrior Council, full of many incredible players. I simply have the opportunity to wash their feet every now and then and try and steal their deck lists. But let's move on. I've gotten it out of my system now, Michael.
Oh, good.
But let's
it only took 2.
That's right. Let's enter the Mind Palace for a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Our next matchup features Kano and Dromai here. High level. This might be a quick game.
Yeah, I think the Kano's looking to close it out as soon as possible, especially if the Dromai is running Sand Cover and Oasis Respite. You're basically saying, I need to kill them before they get to that card. Unless you think you can second cycle them, which also is not going to happen.
Yeah, not really a risk you're trying to take. So we'll be jumping into that one in just a moment. Very quickly, let's update you guys on our meta game breakdown. Dromai coming in here at 6 representations. Again, many people trying to take flight before she is ascended to living legend status. 5 Dorinthias, one of them which has a Dawnblade in the main board. Charles Dunn, of course, showing us that runaways list that, I think seeing Tyler Horseball at table 1 means Charles did not win that game. So that's pretty surprising. Tyler obviously
might be, in the top 8 here.
Tyler obviously incredible in his own right, and a champion of large flesh and blood events as well. Playing in SoCal is pretty rough. We have some brutally strong opponents out here to sort of face down. So we're going to jump into this next matchup in just a moment here. Let's head down to our feature match area. Ryan Brown on Kano versus Patrick Rubalcava on Dromai.
Yeah, both of these players 3-1, hoping to secure their spot in the top 8 here. And from what I've heard, this is a 50-50 match if the Kano player is very good.
Okay, that's asking for a lot.
Yeah. So Ryan's going to need to find lethal and find it quickly here before the Dromai has a chance to find the Oasis or the Sand Cover. Now, one thing that's really important to note about the Dromai is that deck is made of all reds. So when you don't have those cards available, your ability to block is very poor.
Yeah, you might have Arcane Barrier baked onto every Ashwing that you control, but actually being able to pay into it to block an amount of damage without tearing your hand to shreds is a whole different story. Yeah. Maybe the odd random blue that comes up, but, there are plenty of Dromai decks that don't run any blues whatsoever.
Yeah, we've got the Kano with the Emperor sleeves and the Dromai with the suited up Patrick sleeves. I'm not actually sure who was on this.
That? I mean, I wasn't sure. I'm not going to speculate on who that was actually because I'm not certain. But anyway, so Wave of Reality here, of course, the ward and the Spectral Shield can definitely have value here in mitigating some of that early damage. Kano, of course, starts at 30 life here, so we'll get them to change that in just a moment. But let's open up with a tome here. Let's get some reds into the pitch to start to put the pressure on. Build some ash. Right here, of course. Again, there's no reason not to just Kano off the top on turn 0, right? See if you can't find something.
See what you can hit. Maybe you can get lethal.
yeah, that's the thing.
It's you got to get very lucky, but it is possible.
I've had snapback hit me turn. I've been on AV1, have snapback hit me, and then another non-attack. That was very rude. You can definitely do more than one spell sometimes if you find the right card off the top here. But Patrick is straightening up his play area here, already in disarray.
One thing I wanted to point out, too, was this Threadbare Tunic. This actually started out as kind of a meme card for Kanos until they realized that it actually is potentially better than the Spellfire Cloak because it allows you to get that resource on your own turn as well as your opponent's turn. And you're dumping your hand anyway when you're comboing also.
Right.
Really interesting tech to see come around this wave of the meta.
Oh, okay. E-Pod off the top for Ryan.
Love to see that with the Kano.
Great, right?
And of course, this was the PTLA promo card. These cards are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, very, very good looking card here.
Yep.
Isn't that great if Ryan feels rushed here to have access to those extra couple of resources to try and go over the top? But Patrick is going to be doing that anyway. A dominated, nourishing emptiness here. Presenting 6 damage and saying you get extra intellect if you hit with this. Now, a Blazing Aether off the top.
Ryan's really incentivized to continue to go, but if he has reds in hand, that card is basically useless. Sometimes when you see that, you just choose to leave it on top. if you can't play anything else. But
blocking with the Lesson in Lava. Blazing Aether is, don't worry, we're not going to see that here.
Yeah.
Obviously deals an amount of arcane damage equal to the amount of arcane damage dealt to an opponent on that
is he
turn.
playing the lesson? No.
I-
He's
was
jokingly
from
sending
hand,
it for
yeah.
0, I
Yeah.
think. Okay.
I mean,
All right.
Yeah, that'll sort of
Yeah.
banish it forever. So makes perfect sense, right? I guess you could remembrance it back, right? To your deck.
Yeah, I think there's no reason to do that other than for the memes.
Yeah.
Which, with the Threadbare Tunic, it seems like he's got that kind of locked right now.
Yeah. All right, take 3 damage, and Patrick draws up to 5 on his turn, which is...
Yep. And it looks like Ryan chose not to Arsenal as... I'm sorry, it wasn't...
It wasn't his turn, yeah. It was Patrick's
So
turn here.
he's drawing up because this is turn 1, or turn 0, rather. And...
I mean, your Dromai opponent got 3 Ash and an extra intellect point plus an Arsenal on that turn.
Yep.
And 3 damage.
Not what you want to see. Getting the potion is a little bit of a, silver lining there.
Yep. Yeah, let's get that life title sorted. Thank you, mates.
Ugh, glad Kano doesn't start at 40. So
Is that Aether Dart off the top?
Aether Dart off the top. Just blue, one arcane damage. Not very threatening.
And again, remember, Ryan still has an action point to spend, so this doesn't have to be the only spell this turn. Crucible of Aether Weave will be activated now, giving that +1 to this. Hey, that's a good card. Aether Flare.
Okay, now the Aether Dart can be a lot more threatening. And this is exactly what Dromai actually struggles into. The Aether Flares are something that you don't really want to spend your reactions on, because if you spend them on this, they're not available for the Wildfire, but you don't really have the blues to cover this type of thing up.
It's threatening, right? I mean, again, this is another card that says the next card you play this turn...
it looks like he uses the sand cover right here.
Okay, all right,
So
Patrick.
That's
Harding.
exactly what see, this is fantastic for Ryan in the sense that now that sand cover isn't in hand for the Wildfire if he's able to get it. So they're going to be playing this dance of like, can I bait out these blocking cards in order to get the full combo?
Like we talked in the previous Dromai game, I think there was only 2 sand covers in that list, so not always the full 3 being run here. I mean, Aether Flare is scary. I mean, yeah, adding that extra damage onto each consecutive sort of attack. This does mean Patrick's able to build so much Ash that, he goes Ash negative on this particular play. He's not pitching for it, but I think he's really happy to cover up this Aether Flare damage, which turns this Aether Dart into just a 1. Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm also seeing there might not be Oasis Respite in this list either, so that's potentially 1 of 2 sand covers. This Dromai might actually be in a little bit of trouble spending this so early.
Patrick didn't deploy or develop any dragons on his turn 0, so not a whole lot of pressure to board yet. But again, has 5 cards in hand with that Arsenal, which was the sand cover, so ton to play with. And the Ash, of course, to set up the booth. Big shout out Nathan Crawford in the chat, Mr. Regular Degler. Good to see you, man. Great to meet you, obviously, at the Pro Tour. You missed out on a really compelling Victor mirror earlier, my friend. I know that's
Hey there, Nathan.
You played against him, right?
Yeah. I mentioned him earlier in the cast. Nathan, if you missed the earlier part, you came up. So
You did.
go check that out.
Everyone gets a shout out here at AGE. Okay, Yenderai emerges from the brambly maze wall to bar Ryan's way. Oh, God. That's an abomination.
Ravenous Abomination.
Oh, my goodness. All right, 4 damage here. Jeez, that is just, oh, my God. Can we get a Magic the Gathering Plains as a proxy for that? Just cover it over. It's fantastic art. Let me be clear about that. It's just the whiteboard is brutal. All right. This is that pressure, though. This is what Patrick needs to do. Ryan, obviously, misconception. Kanos don't just want to Kano on their opponent's turn all the time. Just throw damage. They want to do it on their turn to force their opponent to part with some cards to make it harder for them to kill you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think one of the strengths of Kano is stripping cards from the opponent or basically comboing off on their own turn. You saw it last turn with the Aether Flare, but it's so important when you do multiplicative arcane damage to have as many cards as possible. It's kind of like Dorinthia would rather have 5 cards than 4 than 3. When your cards build off of themselves, it's really important to kind of keep them together.
So we went Ravenous into Yenderai Swing into Snatch. Ryan's life total now down to about half of what it was. This is what happens when your opponent gets to resolve a Nourishing Emptiness with upside.
And he's taking the hit on the Snatch? Is that what he just said?
It appears so.
So he must have something really big to throw back here.
I mean, Patrick has so many cards here. Maybe he doesn't feel like he needs to use the snaps just yet. Pitch, I think, that CNC into the furnace instead of sort of trying to find a way to play it.
Right.
All right, this is Ryan's turn. Check
Hmm.
the top. Kano active. We are not sure.
Contemplative look on his face, the mustache thinking.
Is this the kind of turn, though, where you need to find something to really chip down your opponent?
Yeah, you absolutely want to try to get the Dromai player into lethal range right now, if you can do it, because you're looking to pop off soon.
Okay. So we may not have liked what we saw on the top, so we leave it there, and then we Tomo Aether Wind, in theory, to draw 2.
Yeah. If it was a blue, he's happy to see it. If it was a red, maybe he just kind of bites the bullet and draws the red anyway.
So that's 1 Kano activation down. Let's go for a second Scalding Rain to fuel this. Prognosticate.
Blue prognosticate. Not what you want to see exactly, but
Gaze the Ages in pitch now.
I think that might.
Is that a wildfire?
Yeah. No, it's a
Blazing
blazing
Aether.
Sorry.
Okay, well, this isn't particularly exciting, I must say. Still in action. No, Tome of Aetherwind was used here, so here we go.
Just sending the prognosticate for 2.
It has a surge effect, right?
Right. So if this hits for more than 1, he gets to opt 1 card.
Okay. Patrick, not really phased by this amount of damage. Are they wearing these hats on purpose? They're great hats. What's
Have
wrong
you ever worn a hat on accident?
I just fell into it. You know, I went to do a handstand, and all of a sudden, my head is covered.
Hate it
That-
when that happens.
Are we hating on dad hats now?
So,
In the year of our Lord 2024? They're great. My goodness. No accounting for taste these days. I don't wear hats personally.
Only sending 4 on a 5-card hand is not at all what Ryan wanted to see here. He really needed to send lethal for a Kano. If they don't block anything, is 38. 36.
It looks like we're having to access the Mind Palace via the latrine
Yeah.
because there's not a whole lot going on, and there's a lot of excrement to part with for Ryan here. Not compelling. 2 damage dealt to this Dromai, which will be covered up and some
And
by
now
this
the sigil
sigil.
pushes him back out of lethal range.
I just accidentally wore this hat today. Just oh, good. Okay, Flame-Cool Awakening here. So this tells me this is, I mean, I can see the list here. I won't give it the deets, but this is, I mean, this telegraphs a red line deck, which is probably kind of scary for the Kano, right? That's a lot of pressure.
No, I think the red line deck is exactly what the Kano wants to see. It's really more about, because when you can't block the Kano's damage, you don't really care what they're sending at you. Chances are you're going to kill them. I would put my money on Kano in this position still. It still very much matters how his hands align, but knowing that Patrick isn't running Oasis Respite, knowing he already spent 1 of his 2 sand covers, he has 1 out to the combo.
Did he use his action point? Yes, Tome of Aetherwind, I think, uses up. Is it not?
Yeah, he used his action point on the Tome of Aetherwind, so he couldn't play an additional spell from hand. He would have loved to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the Tome uses that action
That's why
point.
the gaze just got pitched.
Yeah.
All right, here's Themai. Okay, this is very problematic for a Kano to deal with now.
Yes, Kano has to get rid of this dragon if he wants to be able to combo off.
Okay, if I asked you to sort of give a percentage down who you think is going to win the game at this
that just shifted it by about 40%. There are
Christ
cards
on a
that
bike.
Ryan can play that can get rid of this, but not very many. I think, is he running any poppers? That's the really important thing here is
CNC?
he needs to run poppers
Any of
or he needs to run...
I mean, dead bricks, though, off the top, no?
Yeah, no, it's not great. You don't want to have to run those.
There you go. Red, Aether.
There it is. Okay, beautiful. So he had the Aether dot. That's exactly the card he needed. So bit of an out there for Ryan.
Oof, man.
Manages to survive, shaking his head.
Running
not
out of life,
super
man.
happy, but yeah, he's got maybe 1 or 2 turns before he needs to close
What
it.
is it, 41?
And the tome is not what he wants to see here. This might mean that if Patrick can present more than 10 damage, then either Ryan kills him right now, which he can't do, because 41 is just too much.
That's just right. Like, you have to have the God Pitch stack for that. We
Yeah.
are only a couple of hands deep.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Ryan. Just, like, I mean, what he's brought off the top of his Kano deck just not has lined up. Like, he hasn't been able to generate any pressure
every
from that.
time he's Kano'd, he's hit a blue.
And he even, like, you know, had a Kano brick, had the Tome of Aether, winded off the top, and then drew into, again, very little.
Mhm.
The only card he's presented as remotely threatening was the Aether Flare. Here's Mirror Guy. Patrick. So much Ash. Ash for days.
Yeah. I'm expecting Ryan to either have to pop off here or be permanently on the back foot for the rest of the game.
All right. We've seen this happen before.
We see.
In fact,
damage
what
on the
didn't
board.
Grant Strom win AGE without
Yeah.
taking a point of damage in
Yeah.
his semi or final?
Correct.
Yeah, so Dromai can have these games where she just doesn't take any damage.
Sure. And one of the heroes she can do that against is Kano.
Yeah, Kano, Dorinthia, Arachne, Azuri,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. I mean, okay, if you're a bad Dory like me, maybe it's
Well, no wonder
Teklevossen.
the players are so excited to see her potentially ride off into the sunset.
I mean, like, obviously, like she creates some very polarized matchups,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
With a lot of, and I think that to some degree, like the design team LSS probably are like looking forward, not to her not being in the game, but well, yes, but because of what she opens up in the metagame.
Yeah.
Like
I think the ability to create permanence on the battlefield is very powerful, but also very interesting. And so being able to balance that is like the holy grail of the summoner class right now. And I think with Enigma, they've had Dromai and Prism to practice. I'm very excited for this next set to see what they've done with the new Illusionist.
So we are in the Mind Palace right now. That's what Ryan's trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, you're misusing that word, but I understand what you're trying to say.
Sorry. Yeah, so we had a conversation before the game, and I thought it was just like a turn of phrase to use thinking, but it's actually a legitimate technique used to strengthen your memory or
Correct.
to be able to recall.
It's a technique that basically you place the card that you're pitching to the bottom in your house onto an object. So you'll place the card onto your dining room table, and then the next card on your cat's water bowl. The next card's in the sink, the next one's in the oven. And by placing them in a place that you're very familiar with, it actually makes it much easier to recall the exact order of the cards that you've pitched.
That's crazy.
So it's a very interesting memory technique for the Kanos that are trying to remember 20, 30 cards deep in their pitch stack.
That is a huge amount to sort of recall, and very important in some of those longer games where you can't just take the standard axis by chunking someone down
Sure.
and then performing the combo, right? Yeah, Ryan is probably just, instead of that, trying to think of a way out of this. He has to block Yenderai first because there is an immense amount of damage on the. Oh,
Blaze Headlong is a really bad card to see in
Does
this
he
spot.
have to go? He has
No,
to go.
the moment you block with a Kano, you've said, I can't go anymore.
Okay.
You need all 5 cards. So seeing the block actually really encourages Patrick to just send the rest of his hand.
Yep. Very interesting. Even with the EPOT?
An EPOT can sort of get you out of that, but it's even with an EPOT. Usually the EPOT's there to bail you out of pulling a red off the Ragamuffin's hat.
Makes sense. Okay, Ryan down to 3 here.
Yeah.
Patrick is just going about his day, apparently.
Yeah, this is Ryan's chance to win. This is very low now. He needs to see.
Like there is nothing that is going to ask for cards from Patrick, right?
Yeah, I mean he could if he threw out say like an Aether Spindle Opt 5, that could maybe ask for cards, but.
I mean, Patrick doesn't even have the mechanism to block arcane damage on the board right
Yeah,
now. So
he might just say, I mean, I guess you get to look at 5.
Yeah.
Go next.
that was an Aether Dart.
Yeah,
of the
Aether
Red
Dart
Riders.
for 3.
Yep.
Not what you want to see. This is really rough for Ryan here. He has to. Oh, and there's a Thamai. So he can still respond to this, and he has to basically. What he's saying is, kill me now, which is really scary. If he has, okay, he still has 1 card in hand. So if he had no cards in hand, Ryan could kill him.
Scalding Rain off the top.
Not with that card.
That's
He
so
really needed
ugly.
to. That's every single pitch. Every single Kano has been a blue.
That's devastating. That is not enough damage.
Yeah,
Not even
He
close.
needed an Aether Flare. If he saw an Aether Flare there, I might be flipping the table here.
Yeah.
But that's not it. And he's calculating, tapping the table, wondering what he can possibly do to get himself out of this situation. If he maybe does another Kano, it's
Wildfire in pitch.
pitching Wildfire.
Ragamuffins.
I don't know what he's doing here. He's fishing.
Okay. Off the top.
Yeah,
is,
see, that's exactly it. I was saying he needs to like hit tome into tome into tome to get himself out of this situation.
First tome. Up to 3 cards in hand now. Still that Scalding Rain. Sitting in Banished to be played. Voltic Bolt.
Yep. Is this the next tome? That's pretty big.
Okay.
That's
Sonic Boom.
helpful. Does he have a Wildfire in Arsenal? If he has a Wildfire in Arsenal and he can go 4 wide, he might be able to get there.
Sonic Boom is pretty huge in that you can play the top card of your deck.
Yep.
If its cost is equal to or less than the amount of damage you did with that. 2 cards in hand here.
Even if he does get the Sonic Boom and the card in Arsenal off is a Wildfire, I think he still needs to hit a Blazing Aether off the top to get there.
Oh, God.
He's in a really rough spot here. He's relying on Heart of the Cards. Lisan Al-Gaib, where are you?
Yeah, yeah, he came and went, apparently.
Yeah.
Back to France. Patrick in the position now, some might envy it. Simply just waiting to see if their fate is decided or not. Ryan obviously going 3-1 here, so being able to get Kano to hum in a couple of these matchups, this one is just a rough one. Or at least that's the way the cards have fallen here. See, if you need more resources, you've got the Threadbare Tunic, you've got the Energy Potion.
And he's floating 0 right now, is that? Yeah, because he pitched a blue, a yellow, a red, and a blue. So no floating, 3 Kano activations, 2 cards in hand.
I mean, I don't know. If Kano was able to win from here, I probably wouldn't feel that negatively about it, considering that he's had to spend the entire game getting just bent into a suspension.
Another
screen.
blue off the top.
Aether Quickening?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
He's just...
if I saw Ryan win from here, I'd be like, yo, credit, you basically got worn like a sock for 20 minutes, and then you managed to find a way to get out of that. Seems fair. Right. It is
currently the Dromai's turn.
It's Dromai's turn. They have presented... Themai is yet to resolve in play. So that is what we're responding to.
Wow, and he's paying for the Crucible there to buff up the Sonic Boom. Interesting choice.
Yes. Okay. So Sonic Boom for 4. Trying to make sure... No matter what comes off. I mean, Patrick is not... If there's a sound cover here...
There's no card
over.
that he could hit off the top that is lethal, unfortunately.
Oh, you're kidding! That is disgusting!
No.
Oh, Ryan, I can't do a thing about it. 4 damage prevention? Yeah. Oh, God.
That's it.
All right, we're popping the E-Pod here. 2 floating.
The rest of this turn is a formality. We're going to let the Kano play it out because, you know, that's the only time he gets to play Flesh and Blood is on this one turn. But it is over for him. He no longer has enough cards to block the damage on the board.
How can you feel offended by Kano when like half of the games go like this?
Yeah. And you know, I think the real thing that people don't like about the Kano isn't that he's too strong. I mean, certainly it can feel like he's too strong.
So that he kills you out of nowhere?
It's more about the ability to interact, right? And I think even this game sort of showcases, like, how many things did Patrick block? 2. He blocked twice, and it was his 2 sand covers. Like, and I understand that sentiment. Personally, I think that the more that a player plays against the Kano, the more they enjoy it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, rough time for Ryan there. Blew off the top every single time he used his Kano ability that game. I don't know. I'd have to do the math, but if it's a 50-50, he just lost like 7 coin flips in a row or something.
They're really tough.
Brutal.
Ending with that prognosticate is not what you want to see when you're really looking for something a bit extra, but the sand cover stopping that Sonic Boom.
I mean, the fact that he had that in hand the whole time just shuts down literally everything I said up until that point.
I mean, in a deck with no Oasis, and probably not 3 sand covers, probably just 2, finding them both there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't argue with that.
Sure.
It was written in the stars.
Well, I'm sure the people that are sort of in Camp Dromai over Camp Kano, they're both very divisive heroes, but they might be kind of laughing in their chair at home watching this game and going, ha, yeah, that's why you don't bring Kano.
Yeah, I also think Peter Benensik has had his fair share of difficulty today. We'll take a quick break. Maybe not so quick, actually, as I'm a little hungry. We'll be back, of course, with round 6. That will be the decider. I'm freaking our producer out here by really breaking the fourth wall. I'm going to stuff some food in my cake hole. It's going to happen. And then, of course, we'll be heading towards some win and ins in that round 6 before we cut to top 8. So don't go too far. Much more to come here from your April AGE Open. Keep the copy pastas going in the chat. Make them happen. I'll see you guys later on.